Hi, this is Dan with Invest Rent to Own. This episode is about how I added $2 million to my net worth this last year. So I hope that you've been enjoying so far what the content that I'm putting out here about rent to own and how it can ultimately change your life. And so this will be an example of how much it can increase your overall net worth, as it's done for me in this last year by adding $2 million. So what did I do? I bought about 40 properties this year and sold them all on rent to own. And each time I did that, I'm adding a little chunk of equity each and every time, between 40 and 60,000 with each and every one that I'm doing. And another episode talks about the cash flows that result from that, but this one is focused on the net worth aspect. Imagine that, 40 deals, sitting in the comfort of my own home, in my own office, no boss. It's awesome. Okay, so let's get into some details. So here's the deal that I did today. And this deal sheet is available on my website, free for you to download so that you can use it to analyze your own deals. I bought this house for $120,000. Signed the contracts today. I'll close in a week. And the lease option is a 2-year lease option to rent it for $14.50 a month. I've inputted the annual taxes, the insurance, and then the cash flows. I'm going to get a hard money loan for 7.5%, interest-only loan. It cash flows about $600 a month, and I manage it myself. In 2 years, they'll buy it for $150,000. Adding $30,000 to my net worth. So that's what I'm talking about. Each time I do one of these deals, I'm adding a little bit of future capital gain for the value spread of what I bought it for and what I've sold it for. Notice there's no work that I did at all on this house. It's move-in ready. And so when I analyze it across down on the bottom here, this 2-year line, there's the capital gain amount. There's the cash flows that I make in a year. Over 2 years, that's the cash flows for a total gain of that. That $47,000 divided by the about $30,000 invested, divided by 2 years, comes to an 80% return. So 22% on the cash flow, $30,000, which if done in 1 year would be 100% return on investment. So I'm doing maybe 4 or 5 of these deals a month, and so I'd like to teach you how you can do it as well. This is the process that I use. I buy a foreclosure at an auction. There are a lot of foreclosure auctions out there today that you don't have to physically attend. They're online, and so I buy it at those auctions. I then have a website where I list the property that I bought, and I sell it rent to own, sight unseen. I haven't seen it yet, and they haven't seen it yet. I ask them to put $1,000 down, and then once we're able to see it, it takes about 3 months for this process between bidding it on foreclosure and actually getting the title. It takes about 3 months. So once we get to see it, then they go inside, they decide if they want their $1,000 refunded or if they want to press on with the purchase. I would say 80% of buyers now are pressing on with the purchase. And the other ones, I either flip to another buyer or I flip myself. Then I'm getting with hard money financing, up to 80% loan to value. So in some cases, 85% loan to value. And they're tailored to an investor. Close on the house, and then the tenant moves in after I close on it, and then I'm laughing my way all the way to the bank. Well, I'm enjoying the fruits of the labor of putting it all together. Serving the tenant, serving the community by turning a foreclosure quickly back into a good operating property. I think the timing right now in the market is great for this. Number one, there is ample foreclosure situations out there. COVID has resulted in, unfortunately for many, some foreclosure situations, and you can take advantage of it. You can take this opportunity to keep the fact that they are going to be unoccupied for a short period of time and put someone in right away. There's also an insufficient supply of homes. I recently read an article that talked about nationwide that we have a 6.8 million shortage in housing conditions, in housing situations. We're underbuilt by 6.8 million homes. We also have favorable borrowing situations. Last time I tried to do this many houses was right after the bubble burst, 2007 through 2010. It was very difficult to get loans to purchase real estate in those situations. I got laughed out of every single bank that I went to, despite the fact that I was doing hand and fist over deals. But now the banks want to support you. They want you to move forward, and there's plenty of crowdsourcing opportunities, private funding opportunities that you can use. Millennial buyers are driving the market. They are ultimately entering into their buying years of age, and so the fact that there's undersupply in the marketplace and there's ample buyers is what's driving prices up. And it takes a long time for houses to get built nowadays. With supply chain disruptions, it's going to take even longer. You also have other buyers out there. They're the COVID migration buyers. Either they were living in the city and they don't want to live in the city anymore, or they were living in a situation and now they're working from home and they need something different out of their house. Saw a lot of those in 2020, where people are trying to do everything from home. They're trying to work from home. They're trying to have their kids go to school from home. They're trying to exercise from home, ultimately changing all their needs. Some of these needs have shifted back. Many are going back to school with the kids, and so you don't need umpteen million bedrooms for all the kids to do their work. But maybe you're still working from home. Maybe you want that extra space. And so those are they might be moving from city to rural, or they might just be changing what they need in their house and needing something a little bit bigger. So those are the reasons why. Let me tell you how you can get started. I always recommend the first thing to do is doing exactly what you're doing now. You need to get some education and you need to learn some. These videos are great place to start. As I put courses online, I encourage you to enroll in those as well. Where I started with this book. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is where I started. Back in 2001 is what got me started. You got to read books like this. I would also recommend other books that teach you the basics of real estate, how to analyze cash flows, how to estimate repairs, how to do the... I don't have any how-to books, but there are plenty that are out there. So I recommend... I used Robert Irwin, I want to say. There's also plenty of mindset books out there to get in the right abundance and growth mindset. Another thing that you'll want to do is you'll want to plan your down payment. This could be that you analyze your budget and you figure out a way to start saving some more money that you currently don't have. Or perhaps, as I did early on, was I just expanded my credit card capability. Initially, when I was doing a lot of houses and I wasn't getting any banks that would finance me at all, I would go to my credit cards instead. And I know that many of you are thinking, oh my gosh. As I was doing that, I took and grew from about 100,000 in available credit to 400,000 in available credit. And then I only tapped maybe about 200,000 of it. And as I was doing that, I would do it on, and I still collect them. I don't have them over there. The 0% interest teaser rates for 15 months. No fees and 0%. I would collect those checks, and then when I had a deal, I'd take 5,000 from this one or 10,000 from this one. I even have some credit cards that are over 50,000 at this point that I can get a cash advance on with no fees. I just am starting to pay interest on it initially, so I can take all those and get the money immediately and then start balance transfers for 0% interest against those. So whatever you do, it's a little bit risky because you got to plan what your exit strategy is, but eventually you get to the point where you understand that you need the capital to make the super awesome deal happen, and maybe credit cards are the only way to make it happen. So I've several times through my 20-year career in real estate have borrowed significantly and paid it off, and borrowed significantly and paid it off. I also recommend that you start building a team. I think the first person on your team needs to be a realtor. Realtors have been a great partner of mine throughout the years, and I've made a lot of them very, very wealthy because of the amount of business that I do with them. So having a realtor on your team, specifically one that understands investing, is important. When I started out, this will date me a little bit, I went to the internet and I gathered up all the fax numbers from all the realtors in the town that I was investing in. And I put together a letter and I faxed every single one of them. Hey, here's me. I'm a new investor. I'm looking for a partner in a realtor, one that understands real estate investing. If you will reply, here's my fax number with what your contact information and the top 3 deals that you see are on the marketplace right now and why. And I got 5 replies. And from that, I chose my favorite realtor because I knew that they were investing in the kind of investment I was looking for. I was looking for something that had good cash flow and something that had capital appreciation on it as well. Loan pre-qualification is a great place to start as well. This gives you confidence when you go into offers, when you go into buying. It's a lot better to have that figured out than to be winging it, not knowing if you can close a deal. And then eventually, once you have a deal or two, a handyman is a great person to add onto your team. Whatever you end up doing with your first deal, you're going to learn all sorts of contact information from tradesmen. Your realtor will help you out with them. They know all sorts of HVAC people and plumbers and roofers, and because they're in the business of doing deals, and you will be too. And lastly, you can analyze deals. That's why I offered earlier my analyzing spreadsheet, that if you click the link below, you can download for free. Analyzing and shopping for deals is free, and it tests your brain power as to how many different ways can you analyze a statement or analyze a particular deal. When I started, I was only looking for rentals. Rental. Is it cash flow? Is it good? And then I would only look for flips. Is it flipping good? What's my capital gain? Eventually, I used, like I said earlier, I built this spreadsheet that I use now for every one of my deals, so I can figure out which strategy is the right strategy to use. And many times I've started a deal going in one direction and having to change strategies 1 or 2 or 3 times in order to make sure that I make money. The more that you can change in order to fit the marketplace, the more that you can use your own brain power to make a deal more profitable. That's what makes a good investor. And so I made sure whenever I entered into it, once you've bought a property, you're married to it. You've got to figure it out from there on out. So I wanted to analyze it from all sorts of perspectives. So whenever I do my deal sheet, I analyze it from a flipping perspective. I analyze how much I'm taking on as far as risk and capital that I'm involved. What is the cash flow situation? If the market completely tanked and I had to hold this rental, what would I do with it? Would I refinance? Would I consider a cash out refi? How much am I getting hurt by holding on to it? Those are all things that I consider. Okay, I hope you learned something today. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up and like it. Subscribe to us as well. Look forward to talking to you again soon.